Well, hello. This is a webinar summary of the Sussex International Managers Meeting which took place for Sussex Colleges on the 21st of October. And the whole idea behind the webinar is to enable you to participate in the meeting without actually having attended, and certainly to monitor what goes on, and also, of course, to use it as a catalyst to input into any future meetings. Just a quick reminder that FE Sussex is the consortia company of the post-16 colleges in Sussex, and you can see us on the map there. We also extend into Surrey, and we welcome Surrey members to the meeting regularly. So the purpose of this webinar is to just talk briefly about the PEN project, to provide a reference source of what went on in the meeting for colleagues, and to encourage and foster knowledge exchange. The PEN project stands for Professional Exchange Networks. It's sponsored by the Education Training Foundation, and we're running two modes of PEN, one in Hampshire, or I should say PEN 2 in Hampshire and PEN 1 in Sussex. And me, I haven't introduced myself yet, Tim Strickland, the man at FE Sussex, chairs both the PEN 1 and the PEN 2 meetings. Anyway, our meeting of the 21st of October started off with an exchange on enrolment numbers, and generally people found that those numbers were steady, if not declining a little bit on the current academic year when compared with the previous year. There were various reasons put forward for this. The restriction on visas and the difficulty of obtaining a CAS primarily lay behind them. Also aggressive and even more marketing by HE was also attributed to the reason for the drop in numbers. Not Brexit so much. The Brexit effect didn't yet seem to be making itself felt within our colleges. The next part of the meeting moved on to one of 6 points: Tier 4 compliance and what to expect if that was coming up for you, what documentation you would need, the student journey, the use of agents, pastoral and support requirements, and academic reporting and student tracking. Now this relates to one of our member colleges who undertook T4 compliance fairly recently and were at it for a second time, if I can put it like that. The first time they'd held their hand up and said they weren't ready. So there was a great deal of work that went on behind the scenes, making sure the college was in the correct, or college documentation and procedures and policies were in the correct format for T4 compliance to be granted. Now, if you're coming at this webinar cold and you're just interested in this sort of thing, I cannot underemphasize the importance of having the documentation correct for this Tier 4 visit. It was very carefully handled, a bit like an Ofsted inspection, if you like, with files laid out along tables in a base room, with a member of senior staff on call to assist, and also access into the college MIS system, so you could trace students, you could trace the documentation which they had to make sure it was in place, to check their status of residency, etc. So the student journey starts from before the student even signs at the college, so that they have an absolute comprehensive knowledge of the course they're going to sign on to, of the way that teaching and learning takes place in this country, of their aspirations at course end. Is it progression to university? Is it employment? Is the course a journey in its own right? And also what other activities they can expect along the way. How will they be interviewed? What criteria are there for their acceptance? What English language level tests are needed in a secure English language testing environment? Absolutely everything to do with the student journey explained clearly through direct to the student or via the use of agents. And the emphasis on the use of agents is that they actually understand totally the college, they know its ethos, they know where it is, they know what it does, they know what it supports, they know the courses it provides, they know the results. They are your representative as a college in country. Some agents do this very well, of course, participate in country or in UK visits, get to know the college, form relationships with staff, and therefore act with integrity and have take steps at every opportunity to make sure the student is committed and that they follow the CAS through and the application is put in. Other agents who are not so active are the ones which are of cause for concern. So the agent's manual, the documentation that you produce for the agent, which enables them to act for the college in a credible and proper manner, is critical to the Tier 4 compliance process. A considerable amount of time was spent talking about agents. It was also spent talking about what do we do with the students, the international students, when they come to this country, to the UK. What are the pastoral and support requirements which we feel that they have? What are we going to provide? What extension activities are we going to provide? Are they trips to London? Are they cultural awareness evenings? The things which experienced international operators in the college arena will know and do very well. So that initial meet and greet, getting them down from the airport to the college, settling them in, making sure they're not lonely and homesick and left on their own all weekend in accommodation, that's another thing which falls into this. I'm mentioning accommodation as well. Critically important that the student understands where they're going, that they have a registered homestay address or are staying in halls if the college provides residential accommodation. But there is absolutely no room for manoeuvre on that. And the final thing I'd like to say in this section is that the academic reporting, how frequently students are reported on to themselves, to their parents, to their sponsors, to the agent, how they tracked. Again, we had a Tier 4 compliance officers looking into that, and rightly so. And we were able to show all the correct stages at all of the correct points, which was vitally important in ensuring that compliance is adhered to and compliance is granted. So the students will come into the normal college tracking system, which can plot their progress all the way through. Reporting to parents, well, it depends on college policy, but certainly parents or sponsors, I should say, certainly once a term, some colleges once every 6 weeks, and certainly weekly on attendance, and the student also benefits from all the mechanisms colleges have in place, texting, minibus pickup, alerting to non-attendance within the same day, so certainly sometimes within the first 2 hours, etc., etc. But those points which I've just mentioned are critical to the Tier 4 compliance. At the meeting of the 21st, we also had an ongoing agenda item on digital education, colleges looking at the opportunities online learning provides for them. I think in general, colleges haven't been the swiftest to take up this opportunity. We were talking of the Pearson HNC Digital, I've called it that, High National Certificate in Business Studies, available digitally, remotely, online learning, call it what you will. You'll find the draft units for that on the Pearson site, and it is worth looking at as all the learning resources are included in that. So it saves the college having to develop those resources. As is our habit at the international meetings of international managers in Sussex colleges, we always try and receive from the AOC a report. There were various items coming up from the AOC this time about in-country visits, about support services, and about their new international director, who will be very shortly in post, or may well be by the time you view this webinar. We also had there, and I've put it on the screen for you, the ability to comment on the AOC provision, and you'll see the survey's address there on the web. So in rounding off, it was a very comprehensive meeting. Colleagues were, as usual, vocal and vibrant, I'd like to say, in their participation. Any more questions you have, you can feel free to email me. It's tim@fesussex.org.uk. And each one of our meetings in Sussex are backed up by a webinar. So if you can't attend the meeting, you'll certainly pick up the minutes anyway direct off our sign-in forum, and also you can pick the webinar up as well. So thanks very much for listening, and I hope that was useful to you.